Hello again, TimeBank team. This is second part of your database tutorial. In this part, we will concentrate on the volunteers part. So let's go inside some volunteer, and you can see here that the volunteer record is composed of three major parts: general, volunteering, and references part. Most of the fields here will be automatically populated when you will import some application form received from your potential volunteers. Now, how do you import info from the Word form? You first have to open the desired form. Let's find one, this one. So all the fields here that you see that your volunteers will fill in will be transferred in one-click process into your database. But remember, you always have to open the Word document first. Then you go back to database, to main menu, and click on the import volunteer. It will open up a browsing window. You will find your file, double click on it. Here you have one more check to be sure that you have chosen the right file. Say yes, wait for a few seconds, and here it is, confirmation, volunteer information imported. If you go into volunteers list, you can see that your new record is here, first one on the list. It will always be so. The last record that you imported will be mounted here on top of everything else. Double click in it, and you see all the data from the form is distributed evenly between these three tabs. Some of the fields have what's the name for that? Default values. Volunteer status for the new imported people will always be applicant. Later they might become language trainers or language mentors, but they always start in a database with a status of applicant. And the status date will always be defaulted to today. You can edit this, every field here you can edit, but these default values will make your work quicker. Age group will be automatically calculated based on the date of birth that your applicants will write in a Word form. On this tab, two fields you have to fill in manually yourself. When you import volunteer, I guess that you would like to assign some coordinator. You can choose coordinators from this drop-down list, and during the interview with them, you can write some staff notes. Please be careful, this field has a size limit to 225 characters, that's including spaces, and it comes around few dozen words, so keep your notes brief, please. Next tab is volunteering info. The fields here are populated from the form regarding the volunteering type, location, motivation, how did they heard about you, what days and time and week are they available, etc. And what you need to fill in yourself during the interview are maybe ward details. So if somebody wants to volunteer in Birmingham, you can choose up to 5 words if they specify it. If they don't, you can also choose to write in that they are not sure, or maybe that they want to work in all of the words for Birmingham that's here. You will have the same set of choices for Leicester. As far as motivation goes, on the Word form, they can choose one motivation line, but during the interview you can add a few more here. What else? Here, this organization part. What is this for? This is for when your volunteer will finish their training and be allocated to some organization. You can track their activities here. on the main menu, I will show you later, you have this organization tab where you can fill organizations with their with the city, where are they, and persons that are involved in this organization, so the persons who will be in charge for your volunteers. Let's add some telephone number here and email. For instance, so the info that you put here in the organizations list, you can then find here in the volunteer section. So these are your organizations. If you say that this volunteer works for Amira Foundation, you have a list of persons that are connected to this organization, and when you choose a person, telephone and email will be automatically inserted. You don't have to write any info twice. You write the info in one place and it will be transferred to all other forms. Let's say that your volunteer started to work for Amira Foundation somewhere in August, and they stayed there, let's say for a month, and your comment on this is that this volunteer done very well. Done very well. If you want to write something more, double click in the field. It will open up a Zoom box where you have a little more space to put in your observations. Please be careful. In this Zoom box, you can't go into next row with simple enter. If you press enter, the Zoom box will disappear. So how do you go to another row? You click on the end of the row, and then you press CTRL button on a keyboard simultaneously with enter, and then you will have your new row. If you're a volunteer, then after the Amira Foundation goes to work for some other organization, let's say Asiana, then they will be in charge of some other person. And their start date will be, let's say, September the 5th. And if you leave this end date open, that will indicate that this is the organization where your volunteer currently works. Another thing that you want to know about this volunteer record is the folder where you keep all your data or all your documents about the volunteer. In case of my computer, I have here a folder, volunteer files. You will have a similar folder on your server one day, and when you enter it, you will find for every person their personal folder where you can store about everything. You have some screenshots or emails saved, or their personal scanned documents, whatever you keep about the volunteers. And you can access these files here from the View Document folder. What we have here, last thing to show. I have to show you how do you add some new items on the list. Let's say ethnicity. You have here already defined list of ethnicities. If you want to add some new, you will write it in. New ethnicity. When you click away from this file to some other part of the database, a little function will pop up saying that new ethnicity is not currently on the list. If you want to add it, click yes, and you will have it. For the next volunteer, you can choose new ethnicity as item on the list. But of course, this new ethnicity was just for a test. How do you get rid of it? Not so easy. So it is easy to add items on the list, but to edit or to remove them, you need to have special admin permission. You go here to admin panel. If you are authorized, you will write in the password. Go inside ethnicity table and delete it. Please be careful when deleting things from the list. If the item is already in use, let's say white British or white Irish, if you delete the item here in this table, then it will be deleted from all the volunteers that are connected with it. So please be careful what you are doing here. That's why only few of you will have administrators' rights. This is it about the volunteers details record. I think that I showed you everything that you need to know, and you can always, if you forget something, you can always play back this part of tutorial. In the next one, we will go into what? Into referees. In the next part, we will deal with emails to the referees. See you in the part 3.